I'm Inea Leon, the young ambassador in Inspiring Girls Switzerland. We're continuing with our series of inspiring interviews, where I interview role models in various fields to showcase as many career options available to us young girls as possible. Today I'm here with Kayleigh. Hello, thank you for being here.
Hi, Daniel. No problem at all.
Could you give us a little introduction?
Sure, of course. My name's Kayleigh Grieve. I am Scottish, but working here in Switzerland at UEFA. I'm responsible for the marketing team, now looking after both men's and women's football, but my focus for the last 4 or 5 years has been the development of women's football specifically, so looking at how to best promote the game to fans, but also how to get more girls and women to play football.
And how did you get into football?
So I've been interested in football from a very young age. I have to admit my father was a football player. So when I was born, he was a professional football player. So football was always in my household, and I used to watch him play football and really love that. However, at that time, there was no girls or women's football, so I only knew men playing football. So although I liked to kick about a ball in the park or with friends, there was no girls' teams. I wasn't really allowed to play on the boys' teams at school. But yeah, I still managed to keep a love for football and develop that interest as I got a little bit older. And eventually, there started to become some girls' teams. So I joined a girls' team when I was about 14. At the same time, I was obviously at school and going through all my exams, and I quite liked more creative and media-focused subjects. So eventually, I went to study media and journalism, and managed to combine that with my passion for football into a career where I do both together, essentially.
And when did you know that you wanted to have this career?
That's a very good question. I don't know that I ever knew I wanted this specific career. I knew I liked working in football. So when I was about 15, I started working with my teacher at my school to do leadership courses in sport and learn to be a coach. So I started doing some coaching, and that really helped me to develop my communication skills and my leadership skills and things like that. And when you go to university, you don't necessarily know all the jobs. So at first I thought I was training to be a journalist. That was the job that I saw the most. There was starting to become more and more women in journalism. So I thought, okay, I can see that. That's something I could be, that looks good. So I trained in that direction, but then I got different opportunities more in the media and marketing side. So I don't think I ever chose to be exactly in this career. I just kept following things that looked fun and working hard, and this is where that led to.
And what have you done to help girls get into football?
Okay, well, lots. Like I say, I started quite young, around 14, 15, learning to be a coach and getting my qualifications. So I used to help with the school team to get a girls team going at school. So that was my first kind of try at that. And then I started getting some work in coaching from the local council or authority who did coaching sessions and tried to encourage more girls to come in there. I then helped set up a girls' football club in Glasgow where I lived at the time. So we created this team and it got bigger and bigger, and even at 16, 17, I used to coach one of the young teams and play on the ladies' team and help on our board, the kind of committee who would help raise money for the club and things. So I was just always super active in trying to do things to make the opportunities better. I don't know that I was always aware of how much that was building for other girls, but I certainly tried to help every way I could. And then in Scotland over the years, I just then started to work with men's clubs. So we have big clubs like Celtic, where I was coaching boys. And at the same time, I had this girls team. So I started trying to encourage Celtic, a big men's football club, to take on a girls team. They didn't have any girls team. So I did that with Celtic. And then a few years later, I did it with another club. called Partick Thistle. So yeah, just trying to make these men's clubs who've only ever thought about boys and girls start thinking about women's football. And then when I moved into Switzerland, I now have 2 daughters. One of them is 15 and one is 10. And they both wanted to play football here, but there wasn't many girls' opportunities. So their dad and I started girls' teams in Switzerland for them, and now we have nearly 100 girls playing football at the club. So I think just where I can, giving time and energy to creating opportunities for girls to play has been what I've tried to focus on over the years. In my actual job, not to make this too long an answer, but in my actual job, I also do a lot of marketing campaigns focused on helping girls see football as something cool they can do, making pop stars and movie stars like Millie Bobby Brown or Rita Ora, create campaigns with them to help girls feel encouraged to play football, show them that it's something good to do and why it's good to do. So yeah, I've done lots of work on the women's side of football at UEFA to make it better as well. So a bit on the grassroots and a bit on the professional side.
That is so amazing. And why do you think that boys get so much into football and girls don't?
$1 million question. There's two areas that we look at. There's what we call nature and nurture, and a lot of the reason in the end comes down to the fact that boys are just given more encouragement, more opportunity. The boys can see male professional football everywhere they look, so they want to emulate that, and they see that their dad supports football and encourages them. If you're a dad and you have a little boy and you like football, you're always trying to kick a ball with him from very young and buying him kits and buying him a ball and hoping one day he'll be the next Messi or Ronaldo. And we haven't had girls raised in the same way. So from very young ages, boys are already encouraged much more to play all sports and do all sorts of activity compared to girls. Even when we look at things like how we dress girls versus boys when they're little, boys are often allowed to wear clothes that are much easier to run and jump and hop and skip and climb and things, and girls have to stay tidy and clean, and that means that they don't develop their physical skills as well so young. So boys find it easier to play football from a young age because they have other coordinated skills developed separately. So without getting too technical, I think on the whole, the reality is that boys have much more encouragement, much more opportunity, and many more role models to inspire them visually around them. And for girls, that's not been the same for a long time. It's getting better, and we are seeing more girls playing, but it's still very predominantly focused on boys.
And how do you think that we can help break that stereotype and help girls get into football from a younger age?
From a younger age, so the way that we look at it is, how do we get more girls to start playing football as young as possible? And sometimes that means creating girls-only options of football where they can learn to play football and catch up on the skills maybe that they've not had developed in a more fun, safe environment where they don't feel intimidated because the boys are so good. So girls often think boys are better at football because they're boys. And it's not because they're boys, it's because of all of these things that I've explained that they've been given more opportunity for. But when girls start playing football maybe at 7 or 8, the boys are already very good, they think, because they've just had longer to practice. So it's very hard for girls to start playing football confidently. They have to always play with boys. Some girls can play with boys perfectly well and really enjoy it, and that should never stop. But we know we have to create more football opportunity for girls that's more designed for them. And then as the years go on, we have to try and make sure that girls get the same investment. Boys from a young age can go and play for professional clubs and have professional coaches and sports scientists and all these things. Girls also have to have access to those opportunities as well. And try, I think even just little things, like if we're thinking personally about what we can do, is to encourage girls to play just verbally more and give them good feedback, tell them it's really cool that they play. In school, we have to try and make sure that girls are encouraged to use the football field and the space to play games as well. Sometimes the boys just think they own that space and they play their football, and the girls have to just stay beside. So if we're looking at things in school to do, we could make sure that there's some sort of system that allows girls space and time to play in the playgrounds and to develop these skills as well. And yeah, just as many opportunities to play. And as girls get a little bit older, it's also understanding that school is really important, but so is physical health. So we need to stop telling girls they have to stop playing football because school's too important. We wouldn't tell boys to do that, so we should be telling girls to do that at the same time. Try and stop girls falling out of the game when they become teenagers and help them play as long as they can.
And do you think that this confidence that is different with boys and girls in football and sports can also be transferred to other fields in life?
Absolutely, and that's one of my biggest drivers for this. Football is a tool. It's just a game, and I love it, and I'm very passionate about it. But that is what it is. It's more that I love people and developing people and giving them opportunities. And football for me is a really amazing tool. And there's some really interesting research, mostly done in America, but I think it's true globally, that many women who are occupying senior roles in big companies are women who have played sport through their lives. Because what you learn in school and the grades that you get and the subjects that you study are great, and you need that to go on and get good careers. But what you don't always learn there are the things that you can learn on the field in a sport with a team environment. How do you become resilient to losing? How do you become gracious at winning? How do you communicate well? How do you lead a team? All these different things that you can learn socially that are just as important when you get a job and work in the real world as the qualifications and the grades that you hold have. And for me, it definitely shouldn't be that the boys get to develop all these skills and become much stronger candidates for the workplace based on this, and girls don't. So even if girls have all the same grades at school, but they haven't had the chance to develop their confidence and their leadership and their communication and their teamwork, then they're at a disadvantage, and that shouldn't really be the case. So I really strongly believe, and the research shows it, that team sport drives a lot of key life skills. And right now, I think it's a real shame that many girls miss out on developing those by a lack of access to sport.
And in regard to role models, how much do you think that a role model can help with the confidence?
I think it's huge. There's a really famous saying, and it's said so often now that I don't even know where it started, but you can't be what you can't see, as people say. And if you can see somebody doing something, you can aspire to be it. And if you're not seeing women playing football in society, if you're not seeing them heroed in the same way that men would be heroed, if you're seeing people criticise them, you don't want that for you. So you naturally maybe stop doing things like that to not have that criticism or bad comments or things. Or have sometimes young women, it's their family who don't want them to play, and they don't want to have that aggro in their lives. So that's really challenging. But the more society celebrates women and puts them out there, lets young girls see this is a positive thing to do. Young women are surrounded by different role models in all different walks of life, but some of them are promoting not so healthy things, and good body image isn't always right. There's a lot of role models who are, talk more about what you're wearing and the makeup you wear and the style of your hair and all these things that affect girls' confidence and well-being. And yet our athletes are incredibly healthy, health promoting, strong, really resilient people. And for me, as a society, we should be encouraging more visibility of those, because girls will learn a huge amount from them. So yeah, it's true. All young boys grow up, a lot of young boys grow up looking at Ronaldo, Messi, Pogba, all these different stars, and they want to be them, and they copy their skills and they copy their celebrations and they try to be like them. And I think boys and girls should have female role models similar to that to look up to.
And what advice would you give to the girls that want to follow your path or get a career that is connected to sport?
I think try to do well at school, sticking at school, but schools, you need your grades, but and often you have to go to university or college, not always. But so yeah, of course, sticking at school as much as you can. Try and look for other things to develop your other skills. Take on volunteering opportunities, help out at local clubs, do things that will make you a bit more well-rounded when you come to apply for jobs, and have different things to talk about. When I interview people now, I get lots of people in for jobs, and a lot of people have on paper very similar backgrounds. School, they got these grades, they did these subjects, they went to this university, and that's the basis, and that's great. But then you're looking for, well, what makes you special, what makes you passionate about this? How show me how hard you're willing to work, or how well you are at being inclusive, or how well you adapt to diverse situations or environments. And you can only really do that by putting yourself in different situations. So I think I would definitely advise, don't overwork yourself, and when exams are there, it's important. I don't agree in the culture that you should have to do everything at once, but try and find some things that you can do, that you can learn other skills, and that you can give a bit of time to develop yourself, because those things for me were probably more influential in me getting noticed to get jobs than the results that I had from school. I had to have those, that was clear, but that was more like okay, tick, we can talk to you. Now tell us who you are, what you've done, why should I pick you? And those things become then important.
Well, thank you so much, Kayleigh, for talking to us today.
Nice.